Come on in, everybody. It's time for another session of Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light. And we love meeting with our family every week. Your energy is lovely, and we send love out to all of you today. We've got my friend Rhonda, my friend Bex Marie, and today we have a new friend for everyone. And if you're interested in abundance and finding out how to get there, tag your friends, share this video out, and listen to what our guest has to say today. So, Bex, will you welcome your guest to the show today?
Sure. Hi, guys. Thank you all for hanging out with us today. So excited to have you here and to introduce our new friend, Petia Kolibova Burns. I actually found out about her through her husband, Christopher, and I'm very excited to be able to find out more about what she does and to share it all with you guys. I'm just going to share a little bit from her bio, so bear with me. She's an abundance and light activation coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so they can experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. That is so powerful. That statement is huge. I love that so much. Thank you for joining us, Petia. Can you share, give us your origin story? How did you get into this?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I am so honored to be part of your weekend, your day, and being invited to be part of your family. And it's so interesting. People ask me about the origins because of my accent, right? So the origin where I'm coming from, it's Czech Republic. And the origins why I'm doing what I'm doing, I would say can be viewed as very simple because I basically became the one that I needed on my journey. And I feel like that gives us such a deeper connection with people around us because we are walking our talk. We are walking. We are not only talking about what others can be doing. It's not like, oh, I read this in a book. I live this and I'm living it. So it's really important to connect with a person, not just from where they are, because it's so easy to look at people like where they are right now. And we do it very often, like raise your hand if you ever compare yourself with someone on social media, right? Yep. We are all guilty because we look at people where they are right now. And it's so easy to say like, wow, like, look at her. Like she has her own podcast, multiple six-figure business. She has a handsome husband who treats her like a queen. She just moved into the dream home, working with the soulmate clients. That it's all so beautiful. And trust me, it's every day in my journal of gratitude for that. However, it has not been always this way. I used to live in a very small town in Czech Republic. And my mother had me, if I would believe in accidents, I would say that she had me by accident, We are beyond that point of believing in accidents, right? All of us here probably today. And when my mom had me, she was 17. She was dating my dad for a couple of years. And I was the first time intimacy, let's put it this way. And she got pregnant when she was 17. So what that created in me and the story that I have created as a little girl is that I'm unplanned, I'm unwanted, I'm unlovable. My mom would have better life if I wouldn't be here. And mind you, she never said that. She never said that. She always said that she wanted me from the day one she found out. However, the little girl created a different stories in her head, and that's how I was living. So my stepfather was mentally and physically abusive. My mother was a people pleaser. And all of that just led into self-harm. I struggled with eating disorder, toxic relationships, attempt of suicide, self-harm. And I knew there must be a different way to live. Deep inside, I knew that I meant for more, even though I didn't know what that more is. So I started to be soul searching. Why am I here? Why we are even here? And how to overcome eating disorder, how to overcome suicidal thoughts. And thankfully, I found Louise Hay, and I bet you're all familiar with her.
Yes.
I love her to life.
Yes.
She literally saved my life because I found her videos about self-love and healing, and she brought so much hope and so much light in me. And thanks to her publishing company that she started after she was 50. So she always also gives me hope that it's never too late. I find other authors, other mentors like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Gabby Bernstein, and many other beautiful souls. So that's when I started to be shifting, because I realized that something has to change in my life, and that something, it's me. Because very often we are looking outside, and I have done it for over 3 decades in my life. I was looking outside of me and I was thinking, when I have that good man, I will be happy. When I have that nice body, I will be happy. When I have the money, I will be happy. When I get the job and I finish the school. And I call it living in a when land, when this and this happen. So no matter how many goals I achieved, and listen, on a paper, everything looked great. I got the corporate job, I got the husband, I got the body, I was doing fitness competitions, I had a great money, in a corporate job, and I was still happy. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. And I started to think, like, what's wrong with me? Like, I am doing all the right things and it still doesn't feel right. So I started to realizing that the shifts have to come from within. And it was gradual. There was no like huge light bulb, right? It was gradual, going through the mud and falling on my face and doing the same things over and over. And then you realize that the only way through this, it's through this. I had to go through all of that so I can become more loving, more compassionate. And that's why I'm so loving and nurturing coach right now for my clients. That's why I'm able to mentor women and show them what is possible in their life, so they don't settle and they can truly be unapologetically abundant about who they are, about their lives. But it all starts with us. And that's how I started my journey, and that's how I created what I have created and what I'm creating still. I feel like life, it's a never-ending journey. I will keep unfolding and creating, and I'm in a place that I am very satisfied, and I couldn't say that 5 years ago.
Wow.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I love your story so much, because I think it just speaks volumes to, as much as we try to kind of absorb information and energy and things from everything outside of us, if we don't really look within, the change isn't going to happen. We're not going to get to where we need to be. And I love that. It's always about bringing it back to you.
Yes, it is. And I also feel like everything we're going through, and I know it might sound cliche, but it's really happening for us. Everything. And sometimes people look at us when we achieve something that they desire, and they're like, well, good for you. Like, you have no idea how am I living or what am I going through. And being in a place where I am, it doesn't mean that everything is butterflies and rainbows. It is not. Like, I'm still going through my own layers of pain and growth. And it's just a couple months ago we experienced our first miscarriage, and we lost our twins that we desired babies. So that was like huge, like shaking point of our life. And before we moved here back to United States, just like 3 weeks ago, we were robbed in Mexico, armed robbery, where my husband had a gun to his head and I had a knife to me. So it doesn't mean that, you suddenly become enlightened and your life is great, your business is great, and everything is great. I feel like there's always layers. And I feel doesn't matter what you believe, if it's God, universe, source, there is something bigger than we are, right? And I always feel like there is a way of it's like humbling us, and it's not to like punish us or test us. I don't believe in that. I truly believe that it's always to expand us and to show us something new and to help us to connect with others on such a deeper level. Like the way I can connect now with women who went through miscarriage, that with women who were violated, and it doesn't have to be the like, armed robbery, and thank God nothing happened to us, but they took everything we had, our credit cards, stole cash, stole our phones. So we were a couple weeks without phone. And as entrepreneurs, that was really interesting episode of our time, and we can relate to people on such a deeper level. And it was revealed to us how the work is continuous,
Mhm.
how it's really never ending. And I truly believe that we chose this physical form that we all have this lifetime because we are here to experiment life and experience life. It's not about us being in a soft fluffy bed and living the time of our life. We will get bored. If you're not
Yes.
growing, you're dying. We get to keep expanding. So the expansion is never ending. You get a little bit comfortable and you think you got it all, and there you go. There is next expansion, there is a next level, there is next way how to help people. So it's, no matter what you're going through, keep going. It's serving you, and it's serving those that will need you in a certain level and way that you cannot even imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that, I'm so sorry you went through those things. And I absolutely agree. Like the things that we experience that we, perceive as suffering or cause suffering really do bring us to our next evolution. And they do help us to relate to others deeper. It helps us to be able to connect to those who are also in those states that maybe need someone to help them come out of it. So being able, and it brings you to the next level of compassion, the next level of understanding, to really start to experience yourself in a way that maybe you wouldn't have been able to before, because you're seeing yourself through another level, another depth, right? I love how your podcast is called Unapologetically Abundant. And I think that, especially as a mom, that speaks to me at such a profound level, because I find that there's so many times that I will set myself aside for my children or for someone else or things like that. Can you talk about how that really showed up for you, Unapologetically Abundant, and what that means to you?
Absolutely. I love that question. And I feel like it's like a twofold answer for me, because I do want to speak to those moms. And
Mhm.
first I want to speak to like people and women in general, about what does it mean to be unapologetically abundant. Because when I started my podcast, first I was calling it Be Strong Minded. And it was the three part, mind, body, spirit. So the B was the being, the strong was the body, the physical, and minded was the mindset. And then as I was going through my journey, I realized that I started to be truly abundant on all levels. How I attracted my husband, how I attracted my soulmate clients, how I stopped working 7 days a week in 4 side hustles and created one business. And now I'm working 2-3 days a week. It was because I became unapologetically me. I put the people pleasing on the side, because there is no way you will please everyone ever. It's not possible. So the more unapologetic I became, and it doesn't mean being unapologetic, meaning being selfish or rude or arrogant to other people. It means completely fully express yourself and understand yourself and embody the person you came here to be. I think it's so important to understand that your purpose here is to be you. Like, I remember it took me 3 decades searching for a purpose. Why am I here? And then it's so simple. You came here to be you. There's no one else like you, no one else who can show the way you're showing, speak the way you're speaking. It's so important that we really embrace this fact. You came here to be you, and you're perfectly made for your purpose. That's something that I had to keep reminding myself and my clients. You're perfectly made for your purpose, and it doesn't matter if you're 20 or if you're 70. I have wide range of clients, because each and every one of us, we come to the stage of our life that we realize, wow, I lost myself. Whether it's because you're 20, you left school and you lost yourself in a corporate job or relationship, or whether you are 70 and you are like, like, what do I do now in my life? Is it late for everything? Or whether you're 40 and you're like, okay, like, I'm all about my family and my kids, and who am I? Like, where am I in the equation, right? So it really doesn't matter. When you become unapologetically you, that's when the abundance can come in, not earlier, not later. Because it's like the universe, God wants to bring you a beautiful gift to you, but if you're not acting as yourself, doesn't know where to deliver it, doesn't know how to gift it to you, to all the abundance that you are so deserving. So that's what being unapologetically abundant mean really to me. And that's what I'm teaching my clients, really, how to create a soulful success from soul, not through hard work, not through hustling, not to proving yourself. And I'm using many different techniques, there's just so many of them, and I'm bringing them back to themselves. I'm not the type of coach who will give you ABC and go for it, and I give it to all of my clients. I'm very individual, and that's why I'm so picky who I work with, because I deeply, deeply care. I deeply care about my clients, and many women who come to me, they are here to shift the world. It starts with you and your family, but then it expands. Many of my clients are healers, visionaries, entrepreneurs. They want to leave their job or their relationship and create abundance for themselves and the freedom. It speaks to all of us. Abundance and freedom. That's why it's so much searched online, because we intuitively know that it's ours. And then we're like, well, where is it? I'm not living it. I don't feel free, right? I don't feel abundant. Like there's so many things. So that's what being unapologetically abundant is. And then, turning into the wheel of the moms, because I'm not physical mom yet. I feel like I'm mothering everyone in my life. That's just who I am. I'm a nurturer. Even in human design, my purpose is to align other people with their purpose through nurturing and sensitivity. So to me, I'm here for the survivor of the tribe. It comes to me naturally. However, for the moms that do have, their babies, their kids they're taking care of, it's just crucial. It's crucial to put yourself first. And I don't care if you do it for 2 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day or 2 hours a day, or you have a babysitter and you just escape for 2 days somewhere alone, right? And indulge. It's really crucial. It's interesting because just this Friday I had here one-on-one client. She was doing VIP experience, which is either 1 or 2 days VIP one-on-one retreat with me. And she came here to Vegas to be with me. And it was her third experience with me. And these are exclusive one-on-one experiences. She's single mom of 3. And the thing is that she realized when she started working with me, how much her kids started to changing, how much their life started to change because their mommy started changing. Mommy's feeling better. Mommy's creating more freedom. Mommy, it's more fun. Mommy has a better communication. Mommy understands better their kids because I taught her about human design and how to really communicate with her kids. It's crucial. You got to understand yourself and you got to understand your kids. And sometimes it's like, no, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. Well, that's what you're teaching your kids, that they're not worthy and deserving because you feel unworthy and undeserving. Because if your own growth, it's not your priority, your kids will model it. Do you want that? Because I had even a couple moms who hired me for their kids. One of them was 14, one of them was 16. They hired me for, like a youth life coaching because they're like, and separate 2 moms, but similar message. I don't want them to end up like me. I want them to have a better life. And they're realizing that the better life doesn't come. And that was like my mom's generation. They were thinking, I will work really hard and I will provide for you more things that I had, because back in Eastern Europe, it was, communism and comparing and not enough, right? And people probably in Canada, United States, or other places were not affected by it, but still. Our parents and grandparents wanted better for us. So what did they do? They work really hard. And then we are emotionally traumatized because we feel unloved and unseen and unheard. And then we're doing crazy things. So like toxic relationship, harming ourselves, overeating, over shopping, whatever it is, right? The numbing. So now the generation, it's really changing. And there are so many conscious parents, conscious conceptions. Like me and my husband, when we decided like, okay, we wanted kids, we did a beautiful like ritual for our babies to know like, hey, we are ready. We did a beautiful circle to welcome them whenever they want to come and teach us whatever they want to teach us. So I feel like the world is truly shifting and we can all feel it. It's different. And I feel like we get to embrace the material world too, because I had so many clients who came to me, they were spiritual leaders and healers, and they had a very hard time receiving. especially as women. We have very hard time receiving. And when they come to me and they told me what they were charging, I'm like, oh my gosh, like people won't respect you and value you for what you're charging. Because if you want to give something for free, that's different. But undercharging because you don't see your worth, I always tell them, like, listen, we are pricing your services and your products, not you, because you're priceless, right? So it's coming back to that knowingness, how abundant you truly are. Start celebrating that and start being open to receive. And especially as mom, like I teach my clients who are moms, like even like morning routine, that it's 2 minutes that will, put you in that abundant states when you're feeling like the queen that you are, because you will have different energy with your kids, with your family, with your health. You get to do that, and not just for yourself, but for the people around you.
Yes,
I love that.
yes.
I love that you. Oh, go ahead, Teresa.
Oh no, I'm just saying yes, yes. This all sounds so good.
It is. It's so empowering and exciting. I definitely tuned into when you're talking about people feeling lost, because I know I've had that in my experience as a mom, as a person. Putting myself aside, not knowing who I was for so long. I called it being in limbo or in a layover. Like I was waiting for the next plane to come in and just kind of existing, but going through the motions, right? So I found that, as you're talking about, that part of it is not really knowing who you are, who you are, what you're meant to do. But I find that people have become so mission oriented in their experiences now. They're trying so hard to chase, what is my purpose here? What am I supposed to do here? So what do you have for advice for people, or what's something that like would be a key part of really helping them to come back to themselves and like the foundation of who they are, help them to discover that?
I feel like you said, it really starts all with you, and there's so much conditioning, because we look and we started with it, right? Like saying, like on social media, you look and you compare yourself with how other women look and what other women have and don't have, right? So it's coming back to you and remembering who you are. And I do it, like the foundation, it's two ways. So the first way, it's realizing what are your core values. What is non-negotiable for you? What is the most important thing for you? So very easily we can just think like, oh, I'm doing this because my parents always did it, or I am doing this because it's required in my job. But is that really what you desire? Is that really part of who you really are? Because if your environment, it's not extension of who you really are, you're in a wrong environment. Right? So the first, it's really understanding your core values. And the way I do it with my clients is I invite them to take a big sheet of paper and divide it in two. And on one side, on the left side, write the things that they don't stand for. I don't like saying the word hate, but the things that you really can stand for. So you write 20 things on the left side and then 20 things on the right side. So you would be just going back and forth. And on the right side, you write down the opposite. You write down the things you do stand for. So let's say, for example, I don't stand for hate. I stand for love. I don't stand for being cheap. I stand for being generous. And you just go back and forth. And then once you finish your list, you will take a highlighter, different color, so it really stands out. And on the side of what do you do stand for, you highlight 3 things that are your non-negotiable. So for example, for me, it's loyalty and generosity and growth. Those 3 are reflected in all of the areas of my life, my relationships, my clients, my business, my team. Like everyone has to have those core values. It doesn't have to be like their top 3 values and they have to have them, because I desire to work with people who are loyal and who are generous and who are growth oriented. If that is not important to you, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you're not my person. So when you have that, you get to really take an inventory of your life. You really get to look like, am I living it? Am I aligned with that? Am I doing that? Because I can say like, oh, I'm generous, but then I am stingy on my tips, or I'm not paying my bills on a time, and things like that. So You get to take an honest inventory in your life and then see what gets to be changed or released or maybe just renegotiated, whether it's relationships or your environment, your job. You don't have to quit everything, like get divorced and quit your job and run away like Petia told me, right? It's not about that. It's truly about just looking at your life and seeing if it aligns with what do you say that you stand for. Because if you don't have those things that you're saying you stand for, your life will bring you mess, and that's why you will feel like stuck and in limbo, because you're not truly expressing yourself and living it. So that is the first part. The second part, what I love using in my business and for my clients, is human design. Human design, it's an amazing modality that can really help you understand who you are, what you came for. You can just, ask Uncle Google or just DM me on Instagram or email me. More than happy to share, free resources and links. And I also do readings for my clients because there are 5 different designs, and that could be like hours and hours and hours of discussion, right? But understanding your human design and what is your strategy and your authority, it's so freeing. Because like I mentioned at when we were starting in my human design, my purpose is to align other people with their purpose through nurturing and sensitivity. And in the past, I was told that I'm too good, I'm too sweet, people will take advantage of me. And that's exactly what was happening, because I thought that that's, if you're a good person, people will take advantage of you. So I had to change that and shift that. And I really stood up for myself. And I said, the people who are my people will appreciate it. People who are my people will cherish that and not take advantage of that. And that's how I was able to attract my husband. He cherishes me, treats me like a queen every single day. We are together for 5 years almost. And it's like the first week, he texts me beautiful messages, leaves me hidden notes, cherishes me, tackles me at night if I'm going to bed earlier than him. It's just what I believe I deserve. So it's like my new normal. So you get to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, it's like if you don't stand for who you are, you will fall for everything and everyone.
I love that. I love that. It's funny that you're mentioning human design, because I had one of my clients works with human design, and as an exchange sent me my reading for it or whatever. And I just found out so much about myself that I kind of knew, but it really confirmed for me, more solidified for me, my purpose, like what I'm meant to do, how I'm meant to show up here. And so it helps me to be able to step back from the fear that I had around these things and to be able to really stand in my power. It's such an amazing tool to have.
It is, absolutely. And you can just Google it, and there are many people who are doing reading. Like I said, I do readings for my clients too. And sometimes if someone is really interested, I can do that. I don't like promote it anywhere. And I truly believe that it helps you to go back to yourself. It helps you. And it's that confirmation. It's like, I always knew that, like, I am sensitive and I am nurturing and I am loving, but so many people told me it's wrong. So many people told me that, I shouldn't do that, or that I'm fake, or nobody can be this loving and sweet. I'm like, okay. So it's just like, those people are not your people, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we forget that there's like 7 billion people out there. There's enough people and clients for everyone, because we magnetize who, and they magnetize who they need. We magnetize who we can work with, and they magnetize who they need in their sort of their way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like we just like, it's just like this beautiful reflection, of like, you get to really look at your life and look at the results you are getting. And if you're not happy with the results, well, you get to really pause in your life, take a moment and look at, if I'm getting these results and I'm not happy with it, how am I creating it? And trust me, like, there are times that we are like, well, Petia, why would I create my divorce? Why would I create my miscarriage? Why would I create my robbery, right? Why would I create violence or abuse? And I truly believe that it's our soul choosing it. It's a part of our journey. It's what we get to go through and to learn and grow and expand. And there will be pain in our life when you lose a loved one or when you're betrayed or hurt. There will be pain, but I don't believe that there has to be suffering. Pain will be there, but suffering is optional. It's really up to you how you look at those things, you know. Like last year my grandmother transitioned and we were so close. We were literally like soulmates. I was calling her every single day. She lived back in Czech Republic, and you know, like of course I have my mom, and I was always closer to my grandma. Like we were inseparable for like since I can ever remember. And when she transitions, I was going through a very deep stage of grief and anger, you know. So I was looking at that the way that I lost something. I was looking at that of what everything she will miss and I will miss because she's not here in a physical form. And it was very important for me to feel that, to go through that, and then also to shift my perspective of what a great memories we had together, how I could treat her like a queen because I have already created abundance in my life. And I was like sending her money every month. I was paying all her groceries, all her doctors, all her everything, you know, that I could. So her life was better. And I know how proud she was of me. And, you know, it's just like shifting it into the perspective, well, at least now she won't be in pain in a physical form. She was in pain and she wasn't fulfilled. So we always have the choice to choose the perspective. I could keep suffering, and trust me, I keep missing her. I keep missing the physical form of her, calling her every day. I always tell her, Grandma, you can never transition because you're my psychologist for free. And I gotta keep calling her every day. Well, now she knows I can afford easily the other professionals if it gets to that. So I feel like she transitioned in a good time, you know, with what was happening with the world. It was just scaring her and it was too much for her, you know. So it's really all about perspective, how we are looking at our life and what is happening in it. So you get to go through all those feelings. Like I feel like so very often in spiritual community, we also try to go through the bypassing, right? Like, oh, I'm happy and it's all good and everything, it's amazing. When it's not, when we are hurting, when we are sad, when we are betrayed, when we are angry, right? Like feel it and then learn how to transmute it. But you get to sit with it, because if not, it will come bigger. It'll come back.
Well, it'll come back with a vengeance too. And we all had our moments with that, I'm sure. If you try to repress it, it will come back, and it'll come back over other things, because there's always gonna be something that lets that little bit out, and then boom, it comes back. So yeah, you can't repress it. You have to acknowledge it. You have to sit with it. You have to embrace it and even love it, because it's there for a reason. They're all messengers. Every emotion. I love this so much. Thank you. This has been such an incredible, informative experience with you today. And I appreciate so much what you do, how you show up in this world. To be able to really share your journey, as how it went from being in a really challenging situation as a child, and be able to come into this and stand in your power and show up for women and help them to see themselves in a way that they haven't been able to before. It's just such a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for seeing me, and also for creating the space to share these messages of hope and love and possibilities. I feel like no matter what we are going through, there are times that all we truly need is hope. Mm-hmm. So when we can have that, when we can have the hope, then we can keep going and see the brighter light on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people connect with you more to be able to either follow your journey more, or to connect with you to work with you one-on-one?
So my favorite way to connect would be Instagram, just my name, Petia Kolibova. And I know you will put it in the notes, or people can just look at my name, Petia Kolibova, because nobody can pronounce it. Or my podcast, Unapologetically Abundant. Those I feel like are my favorite ways to connect. And all of that information, it's on my website, petiakolibova.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Rhonda, do you have some questions for her?
I do. Petia, what is your theme song of your life at this point in time? Do you have a favorite song that you think of when you think about yourself going out on stage and talking? Here I am. I'm going to give my talk, my TED talk. What song would be playing?
I love that. I feel like right now where I am in my life would be probably Higher Love, the song Higher Love, because I feel like it's very uplifting and life-giving.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you, I don't know, I'm going to ask you this. We never asked you this before, but what's your favorite crystal? Are you working with any?
It's so funny. I'm just holding emerald right now.
There you go.
It's that's like my house is full of crystals. It's like everything everywhere, and I just feel them, on where I am. I always have they're like literally crystals, like all over my, like everywhere.
She's one of us.
Yeah, she definitely is. Like, it's like, from the bigger to yeah. So I always have a black tourmaline. Usually I have 2 pieces like this around my computer and technology, and especially if I'm doing deep dive sessions with my clients, I like to have them around me. So I feel like it depends on what I'm working on. That's the crystal that I grab, that it's calling me.
Yeah, it's like choosing your favorite person. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. So that's awesome. Have you ever seen any UFOs?
That's a great question. I bet I did, like there are some unexplainable things that we saw like in the sky, and especially when we were in Joshua Tree on a 10-day silent meditation, there were, like some things like, what is that? And yeah, I bet I did.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And thank you so much for being here today. And check out all the links are in the bio, and you guys can follow them there or find her on Instagram. You're one of the few people with that name. So it's awesome. And we'd like to, before we go, we'd like to say that we have a winner from last week who's shared it out the most, and that's Mary Zimmerman. And if you want to check out her page, it's Crystals and Chakras. So thank you, Mary, for being on and always hosting our show. That's awesome too. Thanks. So, but Teresa, have you got any last words to Petia? I know you've been cheering in the background.
Oh yeah, I've been taking a few notes. Being unapologetically me helps me to be unapologetically abundant. Abundant equals freedom, and we are priceless. And then I wrote how we got to find our core values and what we really want to desire. And if our environment isn't an extension of us, then it is simply the wrong environment. I mean, these are all the things I was learning today. And so I want to thank you for all these notes of inspiration this week for me.
Thank you so much for having me, and again for creating this space so people can tune in and keep growing.
That's awesome. We really appreciate you being here and taking the time today and getting up so early because you're on the PST time.
Yeah, awesome. We are up with my husband since like 4 a.m. Because we're still adjusting to the time. But it's really about just like normally in the morning we have like a longer for ourselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Well, I won't be here. I won't be here for a few weeks, but I'll be thinking about y'all. So take care, everybody, and just be with us for a second more after the show. Thanks.